All right, everybody. Good Sunday morning. Hope you guys are doing well. And we're still going to be on a little bit of a light schedule today unless something crazy happens. So, draft stuff is going to resume probably tomorrow. I don't think anything big is going to happen today or tomorrow to push us off of that. So, yeah, tomorrow we will probably get back to the draft prospect analysis videos. But before we get there, I want to take this one last day to kind of decompress after all the free agency stuff. And since it's still a hot topic after the moves this team made on Thursday, I want to talk more about quarterback stuff because this quarterback stuff has gotten, I'd say, I don't know, it's probably less interesting than people thought it was going to be, but still more interesting than it was before because of the Sam Howell trade. So I want to talk a little bit about that because people are wondering what the future might look like at the quarterback position after the Sam Howell trade. So let's discuss the next few years at the position for the Seattle Seahawks for a few minutes. So Geno Smith, let's start the conversation with Geno Smith because he's obviously the guy who's been here for a few years now, and he's the guy who is, according to John Schneider himself, the starter. In fact, his 7-10 interview last week, he kind of gave a vote of confidence to Geno Smith that was stronger than anything we've heard before after the Sam Howell trade. So, it seems like he's going to be the guy, and I want to stress something here very firmly. At the point that we're at, there's really no way to move Geno Smith, and Spotrac has the details here. I'll pull it up. And I know it's a little bit small on screen. I'll zoom in a little bit, but if you take a look at all of their potential ways in which the Seahawks could move off of Geno Smith, none of them really do anything financially. If you were to release him, you're taking on a massive amount of extra dead cap, like it is now significantly more expensive to let him go than it is to keep him. And even if you were to trade him, it's still going to be more expensive than it was. And by the way, today being March 17th, that contrast has only gotten stronger. And even if you were to do these things post June 1st, the savings are very, very small. So I want to start there. Geno Smith's not going anywhere this particular offseason. So we're not really talking about that. We're talking about after 2024. Now, I will say this. Is it possible that Sam Howell takes the starting job from Geno Smith in camp? I guess. I think it's very, very, very unlikely. I think it is one heck of a long shot. In fact, it's possible he may not even get a real opportunity because he might not get any reps with the starters. So I seriously doubt that's on the table, but I guess that's technically possible. And we've seen it before. We've seen it before with this team, right? We saw it with Russell Wilson and Matt Flynn. That was something that people weren't expecting to happen, and it happened. So realistically, I can't dismiss that. If I'm trying to be comprehensive here, that scenario isn't completely dismissible, but we have to acknowledge that it's unlikely. So I'm not really talking about that either. I'm talking about 2025 and beyond. So let's understand a few things here. Geno Smith is kind of in a prove it year in 2024. In a manner of speaking, he is in a prove it year in 2024 because if you look at 2025, I'll zoom in again a little bit just to make it a little easier to see. He'll be 35, which I'm not that worried about the age with Geno Smith. I don't think age is going to be uh, a big problem for him. He's going to turn 35 in October of 2025. That's not a big deal to me. But he will be due a $38.5 million cap hit, and the dead cap to move off of him is only $13.5 million. So that would mean if you move him, you're saving about $25 million in cap space for the 2025 season. So that is something that the team is going to be heavily tempted to do. So you look at this price tag, and now things are starting to kind of get to the point where, yeah, you have to actually feel really good about Geno Smith to keep him around. You can't just feel okay about him. You can't feel pretty good about him. $38.5 million with the possibility of saving 25 of it is enough to where, unless you're very happy with Geno going into the 2025 season, he will probably not be here beyond that offseason. So, for contrast, Sam Howell is currently sitting on 2 years left on his contract. Technically, he could ask for an extension after this season, but if he doesn't play very much, he probably won't be able to. 985,000 cap hit this year, but even in 2025, 1.1 million, as cheap as it gets, basically. If the Seattle Seahawks were to start Sam Howell, which is what this video is talking about, that's one of the cheapest starting quarterbacks in the entire league. So that is going to be the interesting decision to make here, right? If Geno Smith plays at an elite level in 2024, like he is in the MVP race and he's a top 5 quarterback, objectively speaking, and the Seahawks have an elite offense and maybe they ride that offense to some kind of a playoff run, then I imagine he gets extended. But looking at the way this whole thing is structured, if he doesn't play at that level, if he just has a good season or an okay season or even a bad season, maybe even like a really good season, we in all those scenarios might go, you know what? 38.5 million to Geno or 1.1 million to Sam Howell, even if Sam Howell is worse by a non-trivial amount, that trade-off is going to be worth it. And what I'm going to say on that topic personally is that I totally think the idea of trying to be cost-effective at quarterback is good and correct. There has to be some reason to believe that Sam Howell's actually decent, though, at least. Like, there's no price that makes it acceptable to have a bad quarterback. So I don't know how this team is going to go about determining whether or not they think Sam Howell is worth playing in 2025, but they're going to have to try to make that determination because the alternative is to extend Geno Smith, and that means making an extended commitment to him that I don't think that this Seahawks team is going to want to do unless they see phenomenal results from Geno in 2024. So I do see a scenario where Sam Howell becomes the guy for 2025. He's going to be super cheap. They're going to be able to spend a lot of money on things like offensive line, skill position players, and defense because they're not spending any money on Sam Howell at all, really. He's going to count for like 0.3% of the cap, probably. And that will open up a lot of opportunities for them to kind of go crazy that offseason. So that's kind of the interesting decision tree here. And I will say this. I think Geno Smith is capable of playing at an excellent level in 2024. I don't know if it's going to happen. There are a lot of things that are going to make that possible. There are also things that are going to make that hard. Like, I think the Ryan Grubb offense is going to be really good for Geno Smith. I do. But that Ryan Grubb offense has to actually work on a fundamental level. Ryan Grubb's never coached in the NFL before, so there are issues baked into that as well. You are kind of putting Geno Smith in a weird situation where his prove-it year is coming with a brand new OC with no NFL experience. But I think mostly, other than that, things are pretty well in place. I'm worried about this offensive line a little bit, but that can change dramatically in the draft, and I'm hoping that it will. So I think that he'll have the opportunity, he'll have a chance. It's obviously not the greatest chance in the world. In an ideal world, he'd have some blue chip OC that we know is going to be able to deliver and give Geno the best chance. But he's got great receivers, got some great tight ends. Theoretically, this Ryan Grubb offense can work really, really well for him. And there is a foundation on that offensive line that has a chance to be nicely improved on in the draft. So if that doesn't happen, then I do think Sam Howell is probably the second choice here. And I want to be very clear about something. If you were to ask me if I thought that Sam Howell was going to become a good starting caliber quarterback in this league If you ask me that, I would say I don't think so. But I don't think it's impossible. I've certainly been incorrect about player evaluations before, and I will continue to be wrong about them sometimes going forward. Sam Howell, there are some things about him that are really nice, but there are also some things about him that are really bad, and he's also young enough to where I don't think it's fair to judge him for that. So, my current suspicion is that when this all shakes out, Sam Howell will be he'll at least be the guy in pole position for the starting quarterback of the Seahawks in 2025. So I do actually see him eventually getting a chance. And the reason why I say that mainly is you take a look at next year's quarterback draft. I don't see the thing that makes sense. I don't see the savior. For one, I don't think the Seahawks are going to be terrible, so I don't think they're going to be picking really high. And honestly, that might not even be a problem in this draft because look at these quarterbacks. Is there much of anything here that you're excited about? Is there anything here that gets you excited to build your team around? I don't even know who Curtis Rourke is, and now he's the top quarterback, and he's the only guy they have in the first round. Now, things are going to change dramatically over the next several months. Things are going to change a lot over the next year, but right now, this looks like a bad quarterback class. Cam Ward, Shadur Sanders, and Quinn Ewers will probably end up being your top three. That's not exciting. I like Riley Leonard, but he's probably going to get overdrafted because there aren't enough good quarterbacks. Van Dyke, lost interest in him. KJ Jefferson lost interest in him. Maybe Carson Beck, but I mean, he's playing at Georgia. You know, life's easy for him over there. So it's a bad QB class. So I don't see us getting another quarterback that's going to be ready to plug and play in this draft. Like, even if we end up in the top 10, because I don't think we're going to end up in the top 5. There's too much good stuff on this team to allow us into the top 5. Even if we end up in the top 10, I don't want to spend a top 10 pick on Cam Ward unless he shows me something much better than what we saw at Washington State. Maybe Shadur Sanders, but with the way things are going, it kind of feels like Shadur's going to end up going number 1 overall, and we're not going to have a chance at him. Ewers is certainly... There are some things about Quinn Ewers that are great, but I don't know if I see it as like a top 10 type of thing, and that's probably where he's going to go because he's probably going to get hyped up like that because Quinn Ewers has been such a high-profile player in college football for a few years now. I'm just looking at this and I'm going, I don't think the answer's here. So, admittedly, I don't think the Seahawks have done a great job of setting up the timeline here. Unless they use a high pick on a quarterback in this draft. And even if they do, I don't know if it's going to even be a guy that I'm super into. Like, if they come away from this draft with Spencer Rattler, somebody like that, somebody like Jordan Travis, then that changes things a little bit, I think. At that point, I wonder if Howell would be able to beat a guy like that out. But I also kind of don't think the Seahawks are going to take a quarterback in this draft anymore. I don't think they want to carry 3 quarterbacks. So I think that's unlikely. So you're going to have a scenario here where next year we're going to be either give Geno a ton of money, extend Geno for even more money, or just ride with Sam Howell. Because even if you do draft a quarterback in this class, I don't think it's going to be one you just want to throw out there. You've got Sam Howell there to be like the veteran stopgap, and maybe he becomes more than that. Yeah, I think I see it. You know, I think I'm feeling it. I think that scenario makes a good deal of sense to me. So, yeah, that would be my prediction as of right now. I think the most likely way this goes is that Sam Howell becomes the starting quarterback in 2025. Obviously, there's plenty of opportunity for Geno to ball out and prove that he's worthy of sticking around. There is opportunity for the Seahawks to maybe draft a quarterback this year, although, again, I just don't see it. But as of right now, it feels like the wheels are in motion for Mr. Sam Howell to be your, at least for 1 year, at least for one section of the season, your starting quarterback. All right, see you guys later. Go Hawks. Thank you for watching. And yeah, let me know what you think down below. It's a weird feeling, but I'm feeling it now.